Greetings builders, Daniel here and welcome to the part 2 of my 6 expectation of starter builds for the Affliction League. If you missed part 1, don't worry, you can find its link on the description of this video. As I mentioned yesterday, this video only has expectation of starter builds because the new passive tree haven't been released yet, but as soon as it does, I will bring you 12 definitive starter builds, so stay tuned on the channel for a lot of awesome build content during this pre-league week. Let's start this video with a build that is so OP that should be nerfed, but instead got even slightly buffed. It's an awesome time to play this one, the Venom Gyre Deadeye with the Ranger class. Venom Gyre is a very interesting skill which fires a projectile that hits enemies and returns to you, piercing and dealing damage to everything on its path. When the projectile successfully returns to you, you can keep and stack them up to 30 times, and they will all be released at once when you use the Whirling Blades movement skill. To list the pros of this build, I wouldn't even know where to start. It comes with an amazing clear speed, boss damage and a big effective HP. Above all, it's cheap and easy to put together, it doesn't require any mandatory unique item. Now, to list the cons is the real challenge here. It's hard to find something not to like on this build. However, I would say that as most builds, this one is also vulnerable to chaos damage, unless of course you invest on chaos resistance gear. As for budget, this build is cheap. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 90 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divines. For clear speed, I'll give this build 10 out of 10. The Venom Gyre projectile already has an expensive nature for the amount of time it stays dealing damage on screen. Now, with a Deadeye that grants a lot of speed and many buffs to projectiles, the result is what you're seeing on this tier 16 gameplay. The boss damage is also a 10 out of 10. You can use Venom Gyre to instantly have 50 stacked projectiles and delete bosses with an amazing shotgun effect using Whirling Blades on them. It's just unreal and I can't believe it wasn't nerfed again. For this survivability, I'll give it 9 out of 10. This build comes with over 80,000 effective HP because of high armor, high evasion, spell suppression and block chance. Next, we have a starter build for the tanky boys, the Boneshatter Juggernaut with the Marauder class. This build is perfect for the melee enthusiasts out there. Boneshatter hits enemies so hard that it hurts your own character, accumulating trauma stacks. For each trauma, you're going to deal and take more damage. That's why it's important to gather both attack speed and armor to stack many traumas and sustain their damage. To list the pros of this build, I would start with its survivability. Even though you deal damage to yourself, this build has so much armor that you won't feel a thing. Now, because of that, you might think that this build had to sacrifice speed or boss damage, but no, it's still super fast and can kill guardians in just a few seconds. Now, to list the cons, the first thing that comes to mind is that you need to keep an eye on your accuracy. This is because the Keystone precise technique that grants 40% more damage if your accuracy is bigger than your life. As for budget, this build is cheap. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 60 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, I recommend investing around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divines. For clear speed, I'll give it 9 out of 10. Boneshatter also creates a big pulse of damage when stunning enemies. That means that a single blow can kill an entire pack of monsters. Other than that, you stack a lot of attack speed that causes your leaps land to almost teleport you through the map. The boss damage is also great and deserves 9 out of 10. Using Berserker on bosses causes you to accumulate a lot of trauma stacks and deal huge amounts of damage. For this survivability, this build is surely a 10 out of 10, and I would even like to say 20 out of 10 if I could. This build achieves almost 200,000 armor and over 83% of all elemental resistance. All of that combined with the Juggernaut Ascendancy grants this character over 300,000 effective HP. Yes, it's crazy. Finally, we have another build that deserved a nerf but got a buff instead. The Summon Raging Spirit's Guardian with the Templar class. As you know, minion builds are among the best builds out there, and this one in my opinion has the best cost benefit. It's a very simple and safe build for you to complete all content without much investment or effort, awesome for beginners. To list the pros of this build, I would start with how accessible it is. It is super cheap, simple, easy to play, it doesn't need any mandatory unique item. This build is for everyone. It also counts with a great boss damage and survivability. Above all, it has 3 damage auras totally for free and a minion that takes 20% of the damage for you. Now to list the cons, I'll start saying that Raging Spirits have a short duration and you need to keep resummoning them while clearing maps, which might reduce your speed a little. Other than that, this build also doesn't have access to evasion or reach. As for budget, you can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 60 chaos. To comfortable advance to yellow maps, I recommend investing around 100 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divines, where you can totally do it with less. For clear speed, this build gets 8 out of 10. This is because you have to keep resummoning your Raging Spirits, but as you can see, even though this clear speed isn't super fast, it's perfectly fine for you to play and have a good time. The boss damage is great, it's a 9 out of 10. If you apply all the buffs and maintain 20 spirit summoning, you will easily reach over 15 million DPS, more than enough to decimate all endgame bosses in seconds. For the survivability, I'll give it 10 out of 10. This is because we're talking about a minion build where you just need to summon them and wait behind while they destroy and tank everything for you. You just need to mind your position. But with this build, even if they manage to reach you, you still have high armor and block chance, resulting in an effective HP of over 140,000. And that's it for today, guys. Don't forget to stay tuned this week for a lot more Affliction content. I wish you all an amazing day, and don't forget to keep building!